Put your hands together for Kate LaBrosse.
So you know how most doctors and therapists tell you that the only way to deal with the darkness that is mental illness and trauma recovery is to pop a bunch of pills and to be in therapy for the rest of your life? Yeah, well, by those standards, this person standing in front of you today isn't possible. She shouldn't exist. This version of me should not be here. What I've had to overcome to get to this space is unbelievable. It's even unbelievable to me when I say it out loud sometimes, and it's my story. I lived through it. Let me ask you, what would have been too much for you? What would have stopped you? What would have made you not possible? Would being raped have been your limit? What about being abused and abandoned by an alcoholic father? How about being sexually abused as a child? Or how about being sexually abused at 2 different times by 2 different family members as a child? What about suffering from debilitating panic attacks? Or being diagnosed with anxiety, depression, and bipolar disorder? How about surviving multiple suicide attempts and having to be hospitalized for fear of harming yourself? Which one of these would have been enough to stop you? What combination of these would have made you not possible? Or what's happening in your life right now? What has happened in your life right now that has made the fullest expression of you not possible? This was my story. This is what I lived through. This is me. I lived through all of these, and doctors repeatedly told me that I would never be able to heal, that the only way to manage this is by taking medications forever. And what you might find even more unbelievable is that I stand here today, as I stand here in front of you, I am grateful for it all. There isn't even one of these that I would change. Now let me just pause there, because I can kind of hear what might be going on in your head, thinking, what the hell is this chick talking about? What does she mean she's grateful for being raped? Really? She must be crazy. You wouldn't be the first one to call me that. And I probably am, just a little bit. But let me explain. This me wouldn't be here if I hadn't gone through every single one of those experiences. This person standing in front of you today wouldn't be able to connect with you and share her story if I hadn't gone through each one of those. So that's why I can say that I'm grateful today. So if you're sitting there today feeling anything but gratitude for some trauma that you've had to experience, some diagnosis that you have, some struggle that's going on in your life, it's okay. I get it. I was there too. I understand that. And gratitude is not where you start. It's not even the goal that you have in your mind. It's where you end up when you come through to the other side. For me, my healing journey began about 11 years ago. I owned a dog daycare with my mom, and I walked out of that business 11 years ago and never went back. I don't know what propelled me that day exactly, but I walked out of that business that I owned with my mom. I got in my car and I started having one of the worst panic attacks of my entire life. I began driving aimlessly while sobbing. By the way, I don't really recommend that. That's not a good safety tool. Driving, sobbing, repeating over and over again, I want to go home. I want to go home. I want to go home. And to me, home was both the home with the capital H, that place that our souls come from where there is no pain. Because up until that point in my life, all I had ever experienced is one painful experience after another. And it was also home with the lowercase h, that home that we all want to grow up in, that we all want to come from, where there are people who love us, there are people to protect us and keep us safe. So through this sobbing, a plan was beginning to form in my head, and I found myself in the parking lot of a mall of all places. And I went into that mall and I bought all the things that I thought would give me that comfort and love, that peace, just for that one night. I bought soft, cozy pajamas. I bought a neck wrap. I bought bath salts and a beautiful scented candle. And then I went and I filled my lorazepam prescription. And I checked myself into a hotel. Obviously, I wasn't successful in ending my life that night. Through a divine set of circumstances, my friends and family found me at that hotel. My boyfriend at the time, we actually ended up staying in that hotel that night. And when I woke up the next morning, I woke with a new awareness and a new determination, a new belief. And I looked at myself in the mirror in that bathroom at the hotel. And I said to myself, I am going to stay here, in this body, in this life. But I'm not going to do it like this anymore. I am going to find a way to truly and fully heal. And it's that belief that has brought me forward to this very moment. And I want to share that belief with you. I want to gift that to you so you can feel the truth of that as well. So we're going to go into a little meditation, a little visualization practice, okay? So if you're watching from home, I want you to do this as well. So get comfortable in your chair. Put down anything that you're holding. Close your eyes. Put your hand on your heart and take a deep breath. Be present right here, right now, and invite all those spaces in your life that need to heal, any illness, any pain, any relationships, any thoughts, any traumas, anything that you're holding on to that is causing you pain, that no longer serves you, invite that right here, right now. Be with it. Don't be afraid of it. And now I want you to repeat after me. True healing is truly possible. Healing is inevitably mine. And I choose to create it now. I am meant to live healthy and free. Okay, you can come on back to the room. How does that feel? Feels good, right? Yeah. So, I, at that point, walked out of that hotel room and began taking that radical responsibility for my own life to create that healing that I wanted to see. I won't say that I've tried every healing modality out there, but I have tried a whole hell of a lot of them. Everything from the ancient Eastern traditions to the traditional talk therapies to the totally woo-woo, psychic, spiritual, energetic things. In that process, I found pieces of myself that I didn't even know I was missing. And I wanted to bring my psychiatrist into that process with me. I wanted his help and his partnership. So I'll never forget the day that I walked into his office with a stack of papers, research that I had done on how to heal bipolar disorder. I found things that I had never heard of before. I grew up as a fast food kid. I didn't know anything about natural remedies. I found things on fish oils and healthy fats and how they feed the brain. I found things on the gut-brain connection. And so as I handed him those papers, hopeful that he could help me with this, I'll never forget what he said to me. He pushed those papers back across the desk towards me, and he said, "I can't help you with this. I don't know anything about this. But if you want to talk about changing your meds again, we can." Oh, you guys. It's a sucker punch to the gut. I was devastated. This was supposed to be my partner in healing. This was supposed to be my guide. And honestly, I was a little pissed off. I realized in that moment that he would never be my partner in healing. He was only ever going to work with me on illness management. And they are not the same. And that was not the life that I was creating for myself any longer. So I ended that relationship. And there were many more that ended or changed as I made my way through this healing journey. Lots of other things began to change in my life as well as I continued down this path of this radical responsibility, this path towards true healing, towards trying all of these different kinds of remedies, towards releasing all of these trapped emotions, all of these trapped traumas that my body had been holding on to for decades. And honestly, this process probably scared my friends and family a little bit more than being in the full-on bipolar state did. Because the process of healing and unearthing and transforming can look very messy from the outside. And I'll never forget, I had a girlfriend who asked me, "Have you joined a cult?" You can see how a couple of those things that I tried might have looked like that. My mom was so fearful. She kept asking me, why can't you just focus on things that make sense and that your insurance covers? My boyfriend at the time watched in horror as years, decades of unprocessed rage exploded out of me. He finally gave me a metal folding chair to beat the shit out of because he was sick of me ruining the medicine cabinet in the bathroom. Side note, I think I'm looking at trademarking metal folding chair as a healing remedy. You should totally try it. So, through that process, I am so proud to say that I succeeded in that promise that I made to myself those years ago in that hotel bathroom. I am standing here today truly and fully healed, and I am medication-free and episode-free for 10 years. 10 years. That feels so amazing to say. And what I've learned is that this journey has become my purpose. And so I've started working with people to walk them through this process. And a recent client of mine, she spent most of her life in sort of just a low-grade depression, feeling a little bit unlovable, feeling a little bit less than, a little bit not worthy. And you can imagine that when she went through a hellish divorce several years ago and became a single mom to a special needs daughter, that brought forward all of those emotions that she had really been holding on to for her whole life. And so she went to a therapist and she started on antidepressants thinking that that was the path forward. But after months of it not really working, and her starting to think a little bit and get a little bit afraid about what those medications might be doing to her long-term health, she found her way to me. And after working with her for several months and working on this healing process, she is now off her antidepressants. She's in a new relationship and in love. She's creating a program for other parents with special needs children. She was telling me this story recently about how her best girlfriend of almost 30 years was over. They were cooking dinner together in the kitchen. They had the music playing, and all of a sudden her friend just stopped and started crying. And she looked at my client and she said, "I just feel like I have my friend back. I haven't seen you in so long." So you guys, this is what's possible when you take that radical responsibility for your own life, when you take your power back and when you choose to heal. It becomes so much more than the healing itself. A whole new world is made possible for you. For me, that world looked like going from making $14 an hour at a natural food store to making over six figures as the national director of the premier natural products and food sales organization in the US. I created a life where I get to travel the world. I wrote a best-selling book. I healed my relationship with my mom. I fully tapped into my spiritual abilities and became the powerful and deliberate creator of my own life. It could have ended so differently, though. I could have stayed in that place. I could have stayed dimmed and numbed by the medications and my own fears. I could have listened to those doctors and to my family and even to the own fears in my head. But I didn't. I chose the path that was unknown to me. I took that step. I chose to fully heal. And so my purpose is to do that for you, to give that to you. I know that you might not be feeling that yet. I know that, this might sort of be calling out to you, but it might not seem like a real possibility yet. That's okay. I see it for you, and I want to help you create it. You cannot lead where you haven't been, and you cannot teach what you don't know. So that's what I want to do for you. I want to impart all the things that I have learned in my process of becoming an expert in this healing and transformational journey. And I want to help lay that path for you to follow. And I want to hold the space that you have for this vision of your great life. So if you are where I was, whether that's suffering from an actual illness or whether it is just slogging through your life, operating without energy in sort of a low-grade depression, having talked yourself into that maybe it's just okay that things are this way. If that's where you're at, but you want something different, then I invite you to join me in this movement that I am creating. Come join me in the Healthy and Free Society. Go to my website. It's katelabrosse.com. That's KATELABROSSE.com. On the home page, you can click to download a free copy of my book. And when you do that, I will automatically include you in this amazing community. My fervent hope for you is that in this talk today, you connected with something, that something opened up for you, that a new belief was made possible. My hope is that you feel some sort of spark to take your power back, to take your health back. This world needs more of us to do just that. When we heal ourselves, we heal the world. And I want you to become that powerful creator of your own life. And the first step in doing that is to believe that healing is truly possible. Thank you.